Hi, Leanne. I'm so excited about meeting with you today. Can you just elaborate more on what's been going on this week and the past few months since we met and spoke about it on Sunday?
Well, thank you for meeting with me. I wanted to sit down and talk with you because Sean and I, as you've heard a little of, are going to make a really important decision. We're going to try to decide if we should become Michael's legal guardians.
Okay, and so you're coming to me today on advice on whether you should or should not become his legal guardians, or y'all can't decide. You're kind of on the fence about it. You're leaning one way. What are you trying to accomplish from meeting with me today?
I think definitely just advice or any counsel that you have is, as far as whether or not it's the right decision. We definitely want the right thing for both our family and for Michael.
Just to kind of start off, can you just explain some of the ways that Michael has changed, him being in your life has changed you personally and kind of reshaped you as a mother, having him in your house the last 6 months?
I definitely think that having Michael in our house has given me a new perspective, not just on life, but definitely on motherhood. Um, it's kind of developed a servant's heart in me, if you will. We take so many things for granted, and it's terrible how many things we just count as normal life, if you would, that he's never had. And so seeing his perspective and learning about where he came from has definitely taught me to serve others. And I think generally just made me happier. Sean noticed the other day that I was smiling more, and he even made a comment about it and asked, does it have anything to do with Michael? And I just replied that it has everything to do with Michael. I mean, he's made me happier as a person and better as a mother, I think.
You say that Michael's made you happier as a person and a mother overall. Can you tell me about just a couple of the experiences that you've had personally with Michael that have just been moving to you?
Well, every mother wants to be wanted. Um, and you want to feel like you have an important place in their life and that you have something to offer them. When I asked Michael if he wanted to stay in my home, in our home, he simply replied, "I don't want to go anyplace else." And then there was, the time that we gave him his own room, he walked in and said, "Well, I've never had one of these." And I asked, "Well, you've never had your own room?" And he said, "I've never had a bed." And to know that this is the place that he wants to be, and this is the place that I can actually meet his needs and be someone that he needs, it's very fulfilling.
That's really touching. Tell me, do you have any concerns about Michael personally? We've spent a little bit of time talking about how he's impacted you in positive ways and how he's reshaped you personally and as a mother, how he's made you happier. And I personally, just from what I've met of Michael, he seems like an incredible young man. But are there any things that you're concerned about as you bring him or decide to bring him into your family for the rest of your lives, essentially?
Well, one of my biggest concerns is that he's underdeveloped. His grades are down, and he's never had a family to learn from. He's had to grow up on his own. He certainly hasn't had the upbringing, that my children have with, a good dad, and that of course brings any mother concern, because he's going to bring, he could potentially bring influence into our home and over the kids that I gave birth to. And it will be work, trying to get his grades up and teach him all these lessons that he's never learned. He just is, he's from a different place.
It's been my experience just through counseling and through pastoral caregiving that when one person in the family is experiencing an issue, dealing with something that's impacting the whole family, if one person's having emotions, then generally all the other people in the family are also experiencing emotions about the same thing. So in this situation, it would be Michael coming into the family. You're dealing with a lot of emotions on whether to bring him in, what you as a mom, as a woman of Christ should do, and what you should do with your family. Just from experience, I can gather that the other members of your family, RJ and Collins and Sean, are more than likely also experiencing emotions with this situation. Have you spoken to them, and what are their feelings on you and Sean becoming the legal guardians of Michael? How do your kids and your husband, how are they dealing with it? Is that having an impact on your decision and your guidance, if I may, in the matter of bringing Michael in permanently?
Well, Sean is so tender-hearted, and he rarely really speaks up unless he feels really passionate about something or feels like his voice needs to be heard. He's just kind of easy, go with the flow, but he wrote down without question that he and I should be Michael's medical contacts. His worry is that, or my worry is that, his concern or willingness to pay for a broken arm is a lot different than committing to raise a child, to raise a kid. It's just two different things. Collins, she's an average teenage girl. She's wrapped up in volleyball and cheerleading and track. She loves her friends, but she also works really hard in school. At first, she didn't really know what to think about Michael moving in. There are kids at school always draw their own conclusions about things, and I know that must have been a sensitive sort of subject for her, given how much she cares about her social life, but she's really come to love and accept Michael as family. And then, RJ, he's Michael's number one fan. He already thinks of Michael as a brother. He has loved Michael since the first time he met him. RJ has done everything that he can to befriend Michael and to help him excel, even in football, going over plays and just being there to cheer him on. So I definitely think RJ is in favor of it.
Okay, just real briefly, what are some of your concerns or surface concerns about becoming the legal guardian? I mean, what are the reasons you are questioning it, I guess?
I'd say I'm mainly concerned about how it will impact our family as a whole. We've only known Michael for 6 months. 6 months isn't a long time to reveal a lot about someone's character, if there are things that we don't know, but honestly we can't imagine our family now without him. I also worry that the kids may have to deal with racial comments, Michael included. It's odd, where we live for people of different backgrounds or different skin colors to even be friends with each other sometimes, much less, adopt one another or live with one another. So that concerns me, the racial comments and what that could mean for the kids, even Michael in school.
Mm-hmm. I think that something to think about here is, as parents, it's an incredible opportunity as much as it's a challenge. And as parents, you are the master gardeners. And what I mean by that is you're the ones who sow the seeds into your children, and those seeds will grow to be, where their religion or relationship with Christ begins, their ethical behavior, their ethical standards, and so forth. And I think that planting those seeds in Michael, the way that you have planted them in Collins and RJ, can be life-changing for him. And although it is difficult, and it will be difficult, I think you almost answered your own question when you said, I think it would be worse not to have Michael than to deal with the difficulties of having him. And you mentioned dealing with the racism at school, and unfortunately racism is still a discrimination that's being used in our culture today, despite all the efforts that have been taken to end it. However, your children's attitudes towards racism, towards sexism, towards ageism, towards all those sorts of things are based off of the attitude that you and Sean portray towards those sorts of circumstances. And I think that by you and Sean accepting something that goes against society, that goes against what's accepted or what's not accepted, you're making an incredible example of what Christ would do for your children, and you're showing them to do what's right despite what society believes, or despite what society thinks as a whole. So, can you just tell me, let's just close out kind of with, what are some characteristics that if you decide to bring Michael in and be his legal guardians, that you can use to create a healthy family, create a happy home, a family that's grounded? What are some things that you can practice before you make the decision to just create a place, not just for Michael, but for your whole family to be healthy, in a sense?
Well, I think definitely using some of the lessons that we've learned so far, how to serve one another and look out for the needs of each other. Definitely keep Christ at the center of our home. I'd love to see Sean, leading us in devotion times or prayer times, and to be able to instill some of those things that we believe, like you said, not just in Michael, but in all of our kids, and really just learn as a family to recognize who Christ is in our lives, and to live that out, in front of each other and in front of the rest of the world.
I think that grounding in Christ is the most important thing about having a healthy family. It's one of the most important characteristics that a family can build on. Another thing I want to point out here is having a sense of mutual trust. I think it's really important that, I don't doubt that Michael has kind of gained a trust, a great trust in you and Sean, but I do think it's equally important that your other children build that mutual strong trust with Michael as well. Another thing, a major part of a healthy family is communication, and that can be one of the most difficult things in families, but building strong communication is going to make any situation that you encounter in the future much easier. Last thing, Michael has been on his own up until this point, basically, except for when he was taken away from his family at 7. So he's lived on his own forever, and he's always had his own privacy. And I think even in families who have been raised up with their families, there's always a need to respect one another's privacy, and I think that may be difficult for RJ and Collins to be able to kind of accept that, but I think it will be important for Michael.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with me today. I look forward to meeting with you next week at the same time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.